Hi everyone. Um, so far we have spoken about some of the data types. We have understood some basics of Apex. We have discussed about the data types, and we have also discussed about how to create a method, how to create a class, etc. So those are the basic things which we have discussed so far. Now what we are going to do next is we are now going to start writing the code. All right, and we will begin with creating a small class, and we will create a few methods in that. So this is possibly going to be your first Apex class that you create. Inside the class we are going to create a few methods, and then we will try and execute those methods. So it's going to be a very simple piece of code. Okay, so this is possibly going to be your first Apex class that you're going to write. And let's first of all understand what are you going to learn when we do this particular exercise. So there are quite a few things which you are going to learn. So first of all, you learn how to create an Apex class. So you know how to actually write an Apex code and build an Apex class. That's one thing. You will learn how to create Apex methods, because inside the class we are going to create a few methods. So that's going to be the next thing that you will learn. How to call those methods. So once we have created the class, once we have created the methods inside the class, how do we call those methods? That's the next thing that we will learn. We'll also learn how to define parameters in the method. So if there are specific parameters which need to be supplied when the method is being called, how do we define those parameters? We will also learn how do we actually supply the values to those parameters while executing the method. We will learn how to use anonymous window. So Salesforce has got an anonymous window. I discussed about it earlier also, that you have the option of using the anonymous code block or anonymous window to just write a piece of Apex code and execute it on the fly. So we will learn how do we use that anonymous window. We will understand the use of public versus private access modifiers. Earlier we have discussed about what are the different access modifiers. We discussed about public access modifiers, private access modifiers. Now we will see how do we basically use those. We'll see that in practice. We'll also see how to execute an Apex code. Yeah, so when you're writing an Apex code, how do you execute it? And then we will see how to debug an Apex code. So once you have executed your Apex code and it has got executed, how do you debug your Apex code? And then after debugging, how would you check the debug logs? So in case you want to check something and you want to use the debug logs, how to check that? Okay, while this list is pretty long, I'm pretty sure you may be thinking, oh my god, there are going to be so many things which we are going to do. So please do not get overwhelmed with the list. There are quite a lot of things which are listed here, and in fact you are going to understand or learn about all these things, but the exercise or the activity that we are going to do is going to be very simple. Okay, I have designed a piece of code or a class with multiple methods in a way to make it very simple for someone who is completely from a non-coding background also to understand it properly, or anyone who is completely new to Apex also to understand it in a very simple way. So please don't worry about this, but yeah, this is important because all these are activities which are very important. So first of all, the moment you are starting to write your Apex code, these are the basics that you need to know. So you need to know how to create a class, you need to know how to create a method, you need to know how to call those methods, you need to know how you can execute an Apex code, how you can debug an Apex code, how do you check the debug logs. All these things are very important, very basics. Okay, and I'll before we get into the actual code part of it, before we start getting into that, I'll just tell you what we are actually going to do. So what is the functionality that we are going to build, or what is the kind of code that we're going to write? Okay, so okay, so what we will do is we will basically create an Apex class. We are going to create a class and we will call this class as calculator. Sorry, calculator. Okay, this is going to be my class. Yeah. So this is calculator class. Inside the class, I'm going to create a few methods. Okay. So I'll create 1, 2, 3, 4 methods inside the class. Okay. The first method will be to add two numbers. Second method will be to subtract two numbers. Third one will be to multiply two numbers. And the fourth one will be to divide the numbers, or basically divide one number by the other number. Okay, so this is a very simple class that we are going to create with these four methods. So each of these methods, when called, they will basically take two values from you, and as a result they are going to return the whatever, it will do the operation. For example, if you call the add method, it should basically add those two numbers and it should return you the value, the sum of those two numbers. And that's how we are basically going to define other methods as well. All right, so this is the overall structure of the class that we are going to work with, and this is what we will do. Okay, fine. So let's quickly get started. Now to write the code, we will straight away get into our Salesforce developer org. Let me quickly do that. Okay. Yeah. So this is our Salesforce developer org. Now where do we write Apex code, or where will you create your Apex class? So if for writing any Apex code that you want to execute, you will need to store it in an Apex class. If you want to just say, oh, okay, let's again talk about this. I think we spoke about it earlier. If you are just writing an Apex code to be executed on the fly, you do not want to save it, then there is something called an anonymous window. I'll show it to you where it is. So if you go to setups, first of all, there's something called developer console, which you will see here. If you click on the setup, you would find developer console. You click on this, it would open up a developer console window. So this is more of a code editor kind of a thing, which is going to be available for you. Let's close this for now. I'll come into this. So this is the developer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So this is the developer console window that you get to see. You see developer console. So now in this you would see, there are certain options, etc. If you just want to write a code and execute it on the fly, you can click on debug option here, open execute anonymous window. Now here you can just write a piece of code and click on execute button. So whatever you want to do, you can quickly write the code and you can click on the execute button. Okay. Now what will happen, this piece of code will get executed, but this will not get stored. While you can write the code, you can execute it, but this will not get saved anywhere. All right. If you want to save your code so that you can reuse it, then you will have to save your code, or you will have to write your Apex code in an Apex class. Okay, and methods will of course be part of the Apex class. All right, now how do we create an Apex class? There are two ways actually. One is from here. So in the developer console, what you can do is you can go to file and click on new, and then here you can select Apex class, and here you can basically go and put a name for your Apex class. So you can just give it a name, and it will create the class with that particular name. Let me try to see if I can. Okay, so let's say I'm trying to create an Apex class with a name my class, sorry, C1, let's say. Okay, that's what I'm trying to create. So it will basically go ahead and create a class with the name C1. Just click on OK. You would see the class got created. I have told you earlier that all the outermost classes, the class which is actually getting saved, has to be a public class. It cannot be a private class. So yes, that's what we have here. So this is the public class C1 which got created. Okay, same way you can basically go and create a particular Apex class. All right, now let's, and now whatever code you want to write, you can basically write your code here. So your code block can come here. Okay, so this is the basic syntax, the public class. It got created, so outermost class always has to be public, then the keyword name class, and name of the class is there, and then you will have these brackets. Inside these brackets, whatever code you want to write, whatever methods you want to create, whatever variables you want to define can be defined here. All right, so this is one way of creating an Apex class. I'll talk about the other way of creating an Apex class as well, and then we'll again come back to our developer console. So let's, okay, let us go back to our Salesforce org. So this is the Salesforce user interface that you work with. Here again, if you go to setup, if you do not want to write your Apex code, I mean, this is just an option. I don't think you will be using it too much. You will mostly be using developer console, but I just want you to know one more option. So if you click on setup here, and here if you search for, again, yeah, so if you search for Apex here, you will find Apex classes, and then you can click on this. Yeah, it would also show you the list of Apex classes. Let me close this. Yes. So this is also a complete list of all the Apex classes you have, in addition to the ones which are already available. Of course, it will have a complete list of all the Apex classes which are there. In addition to these, if you want to create a new class, you can click on new here, and it works pretty much the same way. It will open up a window for you, so you can basically start writing your code here also. So if I want to create a class here, I can say public class C2, and then you can basically, yeah, where is this bracket in this, the curly braces, yeah, here it is. Yeah, and whatever code you want to write, your code basically can come here. Your code goes here. Okay, so yeah, that's how basically you can create a class. This is one more way of creating an Apex class, but we are not going to use this one. Most of the times you will be dealing with writing your Apex code from the developer console. So let's go back to the developer console. Yeah, so this is the developer console. Just in the interest of time, I have already written the class that we are supposed to be creating. I'll quickly open that class and I'll show it to you now. Okay, so now if you have created a class, and let me just go back to, sorry. Yeah, in case you have already created a class, if it is already saved and you want to open the class, it's going to be again the same navigation. Just go to file, click on open, and you can then, yeah, you will see your, choose the option of classes. You will see the list of classes which are available. This is the class that I'm talking about, calculator. So yeah, just click on this and click on open, and it would open the class which is already created. All right, so this is the class that we already have here. We'll talk about this code. We'll try and understand this code and see how it is written and how we can basically execute the code. Okay, so yeah, the first line, I think it's pretty simple, easily understandable. It's just defining the class and the name of the class. Yeah, so the first line is pretty much self-explanatory, so I'm not talking about that. This is basically a comment. So if within your code, if you just want to quickly add a line of comment, something for reference, so that anyone else who is reading your code can understand, or you also at a later point of time, if you're reading the code, you can understand things quickly, you can add a comment. So comments are basically things which are not part of your code, which will not do anything, but those are just text, you know, text which can be useful for you to refer to at a later point of time to understand what, you know, something about this code, or for someone else. So your Apex engine has got nothing to do with it. It is more for people who are reading this code to understand. Okay, so you know, the way we basically use the, you know, write comments are using these two forward slashes, you know, at the beginning of it. So any line of code which will have these two forward slashes will automatically become comment, and you know, it will have a different color, so you can understand that, yeah, this is commented. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, now this is what we have. So now if you look at the overall structure, this is pretty similar to what we discussed. I explained about this kind of a structure. So I have a class here, and then I have got 4 methods. This is first method for addition, this is the second method, this is the third method, this is the fourth method. Correct? So while it seems to be a big code, yeah, for those who are beginners, of course, but this is basically, there are 4 methods here. Okay, so now we have split it into 4 sections. Now every method, if you see, it's very simple. The structure of the methods is exactly the same. Okay, so we'll talk about the first method. So what is happening in the first method? So in the first method, we discussed about it. So you know, in method, what all you need to do, you define the name of the method, you define the return type if it is going to return something. Okay, in our case, we want these methods to return the value, the result. So what we would do, we will basically so since we want the method to return a value, what we will do, we will define a return type also here, and we want at the time of executing the code, or at the time of calling the method, we want the values, the input values, to be supplied from our end, which are going to be the parameters. Okay, so this, and of course these methods we are going to call from outside the Salesforce, from outside this class. So we need these methods to be public. Okay, so this method is definitely going to be a public method. So we have defined a public method. Return type is going to be decimal. I have the option of using an integer also here instead of a decimal, but yeah, this, if you are using a decimal, you are making this method a little more foolproof. So it's like, you know, you will be able to add 2 plus 2, and you will be also able to add 2.5 plus 2. So that is, so I have used decimal for that purpose. You could have used integer if you are sure that every time it's going to be an integer, so that will also work. Okay, this is going to be this is the name of the method, add is the name of the method, and these are 2 parameters which will be supplied when you are calling the method, A and B. And what will be the type, that also you'll have to define. So A and B both are going to be decimals. So when someone is calling the method, they'll have to supply the values for these 2 parameters. And what will this method do? This method will just return A plus B. It will add these 2 values and it will return the result or the output. Okay, so when you call this method, it will basically ask you for 2 input parameters, A and B. It will add those and it will return the sum of those. That's what this method does. It is the exact same code which you can see in the other 3 methods. So there is no difference in this. For those who are completely new to Salesforce, Apex and programming as well, I would recommend you to pause it here. I could have easily shared this piece of code in the comment section, sorry, not in the comment, in the description. I could have shared that, but I personally feel that, you know, these initial pieces of code you should learn to write, and you should practice writing. So feel free to pause the video here and then start writing this code. It's very simple. Okay, so okay, the other 3 methods are exactly the same. The only difference is that this operation is changing. Here it is A plus B, here it is A minus B, here it is A multiplied by B, and here is A divided by B. Rest everything remains same. And of course the method names are different. Okay, method names are different, right? Now this is the class which needs to be written. So once you have written the class, you can simply go save this class. So did array. Okay, So you can basically go and click, say, once you have written the code, you simply go to file again and you can click on save to save the code, or you can do a simple control S, which is a shortcut for saving the code. So once this code is saved, so you already have, if there are issues with your code, if there are any issues, syntaxes, etc., you will get to see something here. So something would pop up here in the problem side of it, and you will get to know that, okay, fine, there is an issue with the code. Okay, and then you can possibly read that error message and try and fix it. For me right now there are no issues, so it seems to be fine. Now what I would do now next is, I already have my class, I have my methods there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to call one of these methods. Let's say we will start with calling the add method. Okay, now to call this method, what are we going to do? We will call this method, we can call this method from another Apex code as well, but we don't have that much of a code written right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call this method from the anonymous code window, right, which I had shown it to you earlier. So we'll go here, we'll go to anonymous code window, and then we will go here. Let me delete this. Yeah, let me keep it clear. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so now what needs to be done here before I try and execute this one? Okay, so what we have to do, we simply need to call the method. And how do we call the method? Calling the method will be, you will ideally call class dot method name. Okay, and if there are parameters, those parameters, sorry, a and b, what were our parameters? The value for a and b need to be supplied, correct? So it's going to be class dot method name, and the values for a and b need to be supplied there, correct? That's what we are going to do. So let's do this. Yeah. So now that's going to be one part. So that will call the method and the method will return the value. But we also want to see what value it has returned and if it is doing the addition properly. So for example, if I supply 10 and 10, so if I supply 10 and 10, then I would also want to check if the calculation that is happening is correct. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm basically going to look into the debug log. So I'll add one more statement here to show the value in the debug log. So for that, I'm going to use another function which is called system.debug. And here I would possibly, try and debug the result of this. All right. So this statement is going to, show the result in the debug logs, and we can basically then go and check the debug logs and then validate if the value has got added correctly, or is it working properly, and is it returning me the correct result. Okay, that's all we have to do. So we will call the method class.method name, we'll supply the parameters, and we will add a debug statement there. After doing that, we will execute the code, and after executing the code, we will just go and check the debug logs. So 4 things we are going to do. Step 1, call the method, supply the input parameters. Step 2, define the debug statement, system.debug statement. Step 3, execute the code. Step 4, go and check the debug logs. So these are the 4 steps which we are going to do. All right, so let's go get started on this. So I think I don't need this now. Okay. So the return that this method, let's start with add. So the return which it is doing is primarily a decimal, right? So you define it like this. Let's say decimal result equals calculator dot add, and then 2 values I have to supply. All statements in Apex will always end with the semicolon. So this is a very generic, programming syntax which is used in a lot of programming languages. So same thing is applicable on Apex also. So this basically gives an indication to your Apex runtime engine that this statement has ended here. Okay. Yeah. So calculator dot add two parameters a and b we have to supply. So for now, let me give a 10, b 10. Okay. So two parameters I have supplied. It will take these two, and then what I'll do, another thing. So this statement will basically add these two values and assign it to the result. Sorry, where is it? Yeah, assign it to the result variable. Okay. Next, what we have to do? Next, we have to write the debug statement so that we can check it in debug log. So debug statement is only for checking it in debug log. Okay. So I can say of numbers is, this is just a text, and here I can say result. Yeah. Okay. So that's the code. Let me see if I can increase the size of this anonymous code window. I have expanded it a little so that it's easy for you to see. So this is the code. Now, two steps are already done. What is my third step? I just have to go and execute this code. So I will click on execute button. So while you are executing, you have the option of checking the checkbox for open log. If you do this, immediately after the execution, it will open the logs. I'm not going to use it now. And then I'll click on execute. So this should get executed. Unexpected token line number 13. What is the unexpected token line number 13? No, sorry, line 2. What is that? System.debug. This should be fine. This is okay. Calculator add this, fine. Okay, we'll just quickly check it and we will try and fix this. I would check it in my laptop and then we will fix it. We'll try and see if it works fine now. Yeah, I think there was one. Get this one. Yeah, okay. I think there was this plus sign which was missing. Let's see if it is working now. Yeah, it's getting executed. So that when you are, I'll go back to that code and show you what exactly was not correct. So this plus symbol here was missing. So if you are basically putting a string and then you are also using a variable here, result is a variable here, you'll have to use that plus symbol. I think that got missed, and because of that it was basically not able to execute it. Now it's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to execute it. So what will it do? Basically two things. It will add these, supply it to the result, and in the debug logs I should be able to see this statement and the result. So result should be 20. If you are able to see that, then my code is working fine. So let me click on execute one more time. It's getting executed properly. That's fine. Now I can go here. You can expand this. Sorry. You can expand this section and you can look into your logs. So this is the most recent log, the last one. So all the logs of whatever you have executed, this is the last one. So you can open the last log, and in this log, again, log will capture a lot of things. All that you need is you just need the debug log. So there's a checkbox here, debug log. Just select this. It will only show you the debug statements. Okay, so when you check the logs, it can capture a lot of things because whatever has gone into that execution of that piece of code. But I don't need everything. I just want to check my debug statement, system.debug statements. So you will just click on this checkbox, debug only, and it will show you the debug log. And now if you see, yeah, so now if you see, this is what we have got. Sum of numbers is 20. So this is the result which came from those two numbers which we supplied as parameters. And this is just the simple text. So you could have put anything here. So that's it. So now it's working. This class works for the add method. Same way you can try and execute it for the other methods, and you can also try to create a few more methods if you want to do average, EMI calculation, whatever. I mean, yeah, I would recommend you guys to try extend this class, add more functionalities to this, and also do let me know what you are building. Feel free to share those in the comment section, what else you are building, or if there are any specific questions, queries that you would want me to answer a little more in details, you can basically talk about that. So this is what we will this is basically about how you can basically start writing Apex code. Purpose of this exercise is for you to understand where do you write the Apex code, how to create class, how to create method, understanding how to supply parameters, how to call the method, etc. But this is of course a very simple example. We have not even used S objects. It's pretty much done using all primitives, integers, calculation, etc. But certainly helps you build your initial concepts about writing Apex code. So we'll just keep it here, and we will continue to discuss more on Apex code, how to write the more of Apex with a few more example scenarios in our upcoming topics or sessions. And thank you.